Hello, I'm Paul Raftery and I'm the CEO of Projects RH. Today I am joined by Marcell Kellermann, who is one of our investment experts and he's an investment strategist. By that we mean he deals with the investors and he has their perspective in what we do. Today we will discuss how we execute a transaction on behalf of a client. The steps we go through as Projects RH to get that client's materials investor ready. We generally start with a workshop. At that workshop, we sit down with the client and go through every aspect of their business. We focus on the financial model first and then to our 12 questions, which we build the information memorandum around. Marcell, you might like to speak briefly about what happens at the workshop, because I tend to be orchestrating and you see what happens.
So, hello everyone. Most likely during our workshops, it's a simple discovery. A client sees his business and his venture from a client perspective, of course. So, most of them don't really understand the investor point of view. So, when we are attending the workshop, it's most likely our questions, I would say it nicely, are harsh and straightforward, but it helps us to get to the point. A simple example is a client sees his investment readiness in milestones, where our investors sees the investment as A to Z, as a one-stop investment. Maybe it comes in tranches, maybe it goes into an escrow account where the client draws down himself. It's really open. So this is most likely the first discovery during our workshops. Secondly is going into the details of what is the capital need and how equity and debt are structured, in which percentage, and from there we goes into which amount. And from there on, we actually evaluate, do we have the right supplier? Do we have the right equipment? Do we have offtake partner? Is everything agreed on? Is everything signed? And so on. Our workshop normally lasts between 2 and 4 days, depending on the complexity of the project and how accurate actually the documents are. Because we believe do it once and do it right. And by talking about it is building the IM, 5-year financial model, one-page teaser, and the pitch deck.
I think you're exactly right, because the first thing we need to do is build the single point of truth. That's the financial model. That will tell us a lot about the project. And we need to work with the client so they understand the audience. So the audience is generally numbers driven. They're expecting on us to provide independent, but verifiable numbers which work their way through the transaction. What we do is we prepare 5-year P&L balance sheet and statement of cash flow, and then we prepare a valuation of where the business should be in 5 years. Most investors, as we know, have a horizon of about 5 years. Not that they want to necessarily exit, but they want to be able to assess where they're at. So what we do during the workshop is we really put the management through a process so we understand who they are and that they are capable of doing what they say they're capable of doing. Most of our investments are well above $20 million. So we're talking money that needs a serious team to manage it. And investors, as we both know, worry about who's going to look after their money. So the process, as you say, can take 2 to 4 days. And we then address our 12 fundamental questions, which we believe cover most of the concerns of investors. Having had sitting in on the workshop, one of our financial modelers, we then go and produce the financial model. There's a lot of iteration. This is not a process that happens without input from everybody. but the modelers are responsible for producing an independent point of view. Whilst that's occurring, we start writing the information memorandum. And Marcel, it's something that gets read. So what do we need to put in that to make sure everybody's happy?
Most important is their return on investment from the investor point of view. And as you said, in our IM, it's point eight, who is looking after my money? How strong is the team that is actually getting the project off the ground? How strong is the board, for example, that sits behind it and supports an offtake agreement, industry experience, and so on? It's building a strong foundation. And most likely for the investors is the financial model, the outline of their return.
Well, the investors are looking for a balanced team. You need a driving CEO. You need a finance slash administration compliance person. You need somebody in the technical team, and you need someone to do the operations and back up the CEO if something happens. So as we write the information memorandum, we address the key questions of what is the problem, what is the market opportunity, what is the market size, what pricing are we going to be at, and what are our sales expectations. And it seems to be almost universal. Those things happen. So we build those into our model, and then we need to understand our advantage. Why will our client be successful? So what does an investor look for in the keys of being a successful investment opportunity?
It's purely the outcome and the timeline the team can deliver on. And most likely, as we discussed in our last interview, it's the industry the client is placing himself. As higher the demand, as more successful the investor is putting the money down. And then it purely comes back to deliver on time, because our investors hardly accept delays, because this is part of Project RH to ensure that not only the investment is done from the investor perspective, but also ensure that the client delivers.
So one of the things we're really looking for want of a word, is the traction, that they're ready to go,
Yeah.
that they understand where it is, they've got the facility location worked out, and understand how much money they really need. So what we do then is, having flushed that out into an information memorandum, which tends with 10 pages of about numbers to be somewhere between 50 and 60 pages, we then produce a 12-slide summary. And we have, and it's on our website, the belief that there are 12 key concerns investors have, and we produce a slide to address each of those. We then work our way through to a one-page teaser document. We believe that unless you can summarize everything into one page, investors won't understand and won't believe you have a center of your universe. In our experience, the people who market the investment product have 7 minutes to convince an investor it's worthwhile to have the discussion. It's not getting a commitment with dates and times for money, but it's to have the discussion. So everything has to be consistent, working backwards from the teaser to the slide deck to the IM and the financial model. And really, that's the key thing we bring, is that we're the investor focused. So can you just talk about the benefit of being investor focused?
Being investor focused is actually, we know the tender, we know the criteria of our investors and what projects they are looking for. And this is one of the reasons why we as Projects RH are really precise in what projects we're taking on, because for us, there is no need on taking on a project that is right now not on the investor radar, as harsh as it sounds, but we are marked on delivery and success. And it's purely working with our investors, knowing their tender, knowing the industry, knowing what they want, and knowing how much they want to invest makes us actually successful. So by saying it is, we write it not as a business. We write it from the point of view, from the side of the investor, which is actually the big differentiator of projects RH to most
So,
of the one in the industry.
so ladies and gentlemen, I think we've explained our approach to the assignment of dealing with the opportunity that investors give to us. If you have a project which you believe we can assist you with, please send us an email or call us, and we'd be happy to have a preliminary discussion with you to see if we can assist. Marcell and I look forward to having the opportunity of working with you. Marcell, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Paul, and we're looking forward to receiving your proposals.
Thank you and farewell.